the head of an intelligence organization that terrorized the entire European continent, and he was the most fearsome face of the Third Reich. Today you will learn the story of Reinhard Heydrich. Born in Halle, near Leipzig, on March 7, 1904, Reinhard Eugen Tristan Heydrich grew up in a highly musical and cultured environment, with his father being the founder of the Halle Conservatory of Music and a Wagnerian opera singer, while his mother was a talented pianist. At home, his mother firmly believed in the value of discipline and strictness in raising her son, even resorting to punishments. As a result, Heydrich became a withdrawn, moody, and unhappy boy, but also intensely determined to succeed at everything. Because of this, as he grew up, his intense focus led him to stand out academically, athletically, and artistically. Heydrich developed great skills as a pianist and later became an award-winning fencer. However, his childhood and youth were not only made of triumphs and glories, with young Heydrich suffering teasing and bullying at his school, both because he was Catholic in a predominantly Protestant city, and because of unfounded rumors that his family had Jewish ancestry. Then, in 1918, after Germany's defeat in World War I and the collapse of its empire, chaos spread throughout the country. Overnight, the nation, once powerful and stable, plunged into a state of social upheaval and of inflation, bringing economic ruin to most German families, including Heydrich's family. Subsequently, at the end of February, 1919 civil unrest, strikes and clashes between communist and anti-communist groups broke out in Heydrich's hometown, Halle, leading the Minister of Defense, Gustav Noske, to issue directives so that paramilitary units would be created, the Freikorps, whose mission would be to reclaim, capture, and liberate Halle. Heydrich, then just over 15 years old, enlisted in one of these units, which was led by the anti-Semitic general Georg Ludwig Merker, a fact that made it known as Merker's Volunteer Rifles. With the young man being assigned to defend private properties, few records remain of his role in these events, but it is known that they left a strong impression on him, serving as a kind of political awakening. After the liberation of Halle, Heydrich returned to school, seeking to finish his studies and aiming to achieve some prominent position in the now Weimar Republic. Thus, in March 1922, Heydrich, then 18 years old, joined the Reichsmarine, becoming a naval cadet in Kiel, the main naval base of Germany. Later, thanks to his good performance, he was promoted first in April 1924 to senior cadet, being sent for training at the Naval Academy of Murwig. In 1926, he would be promoted to ensign, being assigned as a signals officer on the battleship SMS Schleswig-Holstein, the main vessel of the North Sea Fleet. Reaching the rank of second lieutenant in 1928, everything seemed to be going well in the young officer's life. His evaluations from his superiors, which even included the future Admiral Wilhelm Canaris, they were extraordinary. With Heydrich being recognized as a deeply efficient and capable officer, such facts further fueled his ego, making Heydrich aspire to higher positions and dream of a future promotion to admiral. However, in 1930, his promising career in the Navy began to crumble. Heydrich had developed a great interest in having relationships with women from high society, which he saw as yet another means to climb the social ladder. However, one of his numerous affairs, more specifically with the unmarried daughter of a shipyard director, was his downfall. He, who was already engaged to Lena von Osten, was accused of violating the code of conduct for a naval officer, for having had sexual relations with a young unmarried woman without marrying her. Because of this, the Navy gave him two options: marry the young woman and keep his career, or lose his rank and be expelled. Determined to marry his then fiancée, Heydrich chose the second option. This resulted in his forced resignation by order of Admiral Erich Heider in 1931 for conduct unbecoming of an officer and a gentleman, losing his rank and receiving only a compensation of 200 Reichsmarks, which would be paid monthly over the next 2 years. With his naval career ruined, his prospects for the future did not seem very promising. However, his fiancée, who was an enthusiastic member of the Nazi Party, suggested that he join the party and investigate. The SS organization, which at the time mainly served as Hitler's personal bodyguard, had about 10,000 members. At the age of 27, on the first day of June, 1931, just 1 day after he was discharged from the Navy, Heydrich joined the party, becoming member number 544,916. 6 weeks after joining, he managed to get an interview with the new Reichsfuhrer of the SS, Heinrich Himmler, who was looking for someone to build an intelligence service within the SS. During the interview, Himmler presented Heydrich with a challenge, asking him to, in 20 minutes, describe his plans for a future SS intelligence and information gathering service. Heydrich's response, combined with his quick thinking and Aryan appearance, impressed Himmler, who gave him the job, thus allowing Heydrich to join the SS. With membership number 10,020, Heydrich began to create the intelligence gathering organization known as the Sicherheitsdienst, or Security Service. He was given a small office with a single typewriter to carry out the task. However, his relentless determination soon turned the organization into a vast network of informants. It developed dossiers on anyone who might oppose Hitler, and it conducted espionage and internal investigations to gather information even on party members and Sturmabteilung leaders. Heydrich also liked gossip and kept folders full of rumors and details about the private lives and sexual activities of the main Nazi leaders. With him later resorting to the use of microphones and hidden cameras, Heydrich's relentless diligence and the rapid success of the Sicherheitsdienst earned him a quick rise through the ranks of the SS. He was appointed major as early as December 1931 and colonel in July 1932, being made brigadier, Führer, or general of the SS in March 1933. All of this before he was 30 years old. A single obstacle appeared when old rumors surfaced about possible Jewish ancestry on his father's side of the family. Heydrich's grandmother had remarried after his father's birth to a man with a Jewish-sounding name. Both Hitler and Himmler quickly became aware of the rumors, which were spread by Heydrich's enemies within the party. At one point, Himmler even considered expelling him from the SS, but Hitler, after a long meeting with him, described him as a highly talented man, but also very dangerous, whose gifts the movement should retain. Thus, Heydrich remained in the SS, but he was haunted by persistent rumors, and as a result developed a tremendous hostility toward the Jews. After the Nazis took power in January 1933, Heydrich and Himmler oversaw the mass arrests of communists, sincere trade unionists, dissidents, politicians, and others who opposed Hitler. The total number of incarcerations was so high that prison space became a problem. This led to the decommissioned munitions factory in Dachau, near Munich, being quickly converted into a concentration camp for political prisoners, the first of many. After Dachau, large concentration camps were opened in Buchenwald, Sachsenhausen, and Lichtenberg. All of them, to a greater or lesser extent, subjected the prisoners there to terrible treatment. In April 1934, amid many internal struggles and betrayals within the party, Himmler took command of the newly created Geheimstaatspolizei, or Gestapo, the state secret police. With Heydrich as his second in command, he was responsible for the administration of the organization. 2 months later, in June, Himmler and Heydrich, together with Hermann Göring, successfully planned the downfall of the powerful chief of the Sturmabteilung, Amsterdam, spreading false rumors that Ram and his 4 million stormtroopers intended to take control of the Reich and lead a new revolution. During the Night of the Long Knives, Ram and dozens of high-ranking Sturmabteilung leaders were hunted down and murdered on Hitler's orders, with Heydrich drawing up the list of targets. As a result, the Sturmabteilung brownshirts lost much of their influence and were quickly overtaken in importance by the SS. In June 1936, all regional police forces in Germany, along with the Gestapo, the Sicherheitsdienst, and the criminal police, were placed under the command of SS Reichsfuhrer Himmler, who now answered only to Hitler. In 1937, the police force, especially the Gestapo, was given virtually unlimited powers of arrest, with anyone able to be taken into custody for any reason and for any length of time, without trial and without legal recourse. All across Germany, Heydrich's Sicherheitsdienst and Gestapo agents used torture, murder, indiscriminate arrests, extortion, and blackmail to crush supposed anti-Nazis, and also to increase Heydrich's immense personal power, now widely feared throughout Germany. Many high-ranking party members even feared meeting him or being in his presence during the few official meetings he attended. With his gaze, Heydrich could intimidate even the most hardened Nazis. But even though he was so powerful, Heydrich avoided the spotlight. Preferring to operate behind the scenes, he generally avoided publicity and was rarely seen in public. He was also a man without friends, whose only acquaintances were subordinates and senior SS officers. They had a strictly professional relationship with him. In Germany, Heydrich took part in the downfall of two powerful and traditionalist generals of the German army. The Minister of War, Werner von Bromberg, and the Commander-in-Chief of the Army, Werner von Fritsch. They expressed opposition to Hitler when he announced his long-term war plans in November 1937. Using personal dossiers, fabricated facts, and forged evidence, he managed to have both of them dismissed, thus paving the way for Hitler to take control of the armed forces and proceed with his plans for the annexation of Austria and Czechoslovakia, with Himmler and Heydrich working behind the scenes to encourage the Nazi leaders in these regions to stir up unrest and commit acts of sabotage. After Austria's annexation in March 1938, the SS rushed to arrest opponents and restrict the Jewish population, with Heydrich establishing the Gestapo Jewish Emigration Office there, headed by SS Obersturmführer Adolf Eichmann. The office would have exclusive authority to issue visas for Jews who wished to leave Austria. This fact led to the extortion of more than 100,000 Jews who were only able to leave the country after leaving behind most of their possessions. Later, when Hitler turned his attention to Czechoslovakia, Reinhard Heydrich encouraged the Nazification of ethnic Germans. To spread political unrest in the border area known as the Sudetenland, on October 1, 1938, under the threat of German invasion and with growing unrest, the Czech government handed over the Sudetenland to Germany through the Munich Agreement. Another victory for Hitler, but also for Heydrich. A little over a month later, on November 10, 1938, Kristallnacht, or the Night of Broken Glass, was unleashed within German territory, with attacks, vandalism, and arson, and breaking into Jewish businesses and synagogues, with Heydrich imprisoning 25,000 Jews, most of them social leaders. After these events, in January 1939, Heydrich helped. He helped destabilize Czechoslovakia, inciting riots in the eastern province of Slovakia and sending sabotage squads to cause panic. In March, after France and England showed no signs of direct intervention, Hitler occupied the rest of the country militarily, granting independence to Slovakia and keeping the provinces of Bohemia and Moravia for himself. A few months later, on September 1st, 1939, World War II began with the German invasion of Poland. And, just like in previous events, Heydrich was of utmost importance. He planned and carried out a fake Polish attack on a German radio station in Gliwice, near the Polish border, thus giving Hitler a pretext to start the action. After the invasion, Heydrich was given command of the new Reichssicherheit Hauptamt, or Reich Central Security Office. The Reich Security, which combined the Sicherheitsdienst, the Gestapo, the criminal police, and the Foreign Intelligence Service, into a vast, efficient, centralized organization, which would soon extend its operations to the entire European continent. Heydrich then formed 5 special SS task forces, the Einsatzgruppen, to systematically annihilate anyone who stood in the way of the occupation government. Following these events, on June 22, 1941, Germany unleashed the largest military operation of all time against the Soviet Union, Operation Barbarossa. And a curious fact is that Heydrich actively participated in the fighting during the first days, serving as a fighter pilot for the Luftwaffe, holding the rank of major, a role he had already performed the previous year. During the invasion of Norway, flying a Messerschmitt BFCZ-2, he was even awarded the Iron Cross First Class. However, Heydrich was too valuable to stay on the front lines, and after an accident where his plane crashed behind enemy lines and he was almost captured, Himmler personally ordered him to be removed from direct combat actions and to focus only on his duties with the SS. The war that Germany had started in the Soviet Union opened up a vast front, multiplying the responsibilities and areas of operation of Reinhard Heydrich's brutal organization. The vast number of police actions that resulted in arrests and mass executions in the Soviet Union, they demonstrated the ineffectiveness and slowness of the conventional methods used by the Einsatzgruppen, resulting in the beginning of experimentation with means of mass elimination of so-called undesirable individuals. On July 31 of the same year, Reich Marshal Hermann Göring issued an order instructing Heydrich to prepare a general plan for the necessary logistics, infrastructure, and financial measures to achieve a final solution to the Jewish question in the territories occupied by Germany. As a result, on January 20, 1942, Heydrich convened the Wannsee Conference on the outskirts of Berlin, and, together with 15 high-ranking bureaucrats, he established the necessary measures to implement the final solution. Shortly before that, on September 27, 1941, the ambitious Heydrich reached the peak of his prestige with Hitler, who called him the man with the iron heart. He would be appointed Deputy Reich Protector for Bohemia and Moravia in the former Czechoslovakia. Setting up his headquarters in Prague, Konstantin von Neurath was the nominal holder of the position of protector, but his authority was virtually null. With Heydrich being the actual dictator in the provinces, he established a successful policy of offering incentives to Czech workers, rewarding them with food and privileges if they met the production quotas for the war industry and demonstrated loyalty to the Reich. At the same time, his Gestapo and Sicherheitsdienst agents carried out a brutal repression of the Czech resistance movement. With these actions, which earned him the nickname the Butcher of Prague, his power had reached its peak. With Heydrich being subordinate to only a few top party figures, he was constantly awarded high state honors, such as the Iron Cross Second and First Class, the Order of St. Alexander of the Kingdom of Bulgaria at the Grand Cross level, and the Order of Merit of the Kingdom of Hungary at the Commander level, and many other decorations from other powers. Countries allied with Germany. SS Obergruppenführer Reinhard Heydrich, at 38 years old, intoxicated by his own success, traveled between his home and headquarters in Prague in a green Mercedes-Benz 320 with the top down, without armor or any armed escort. As a demonstration of confidence in his elimination of the resistance and successful pacification of the local population. However, this immense self-confidence of his would be the main reason that would lead to his downfall. On May 27, 1942, when his car slowed down to make a sharp turn on the road in a suburb of Prague. He was attacked by Joseph Gabčík and Jan Kubic, Czech resistance agents, who had been trained in England and infiltrated into the country to assassinate him. Initially trying to shoot him with a submachine gun, the agents then threw a bomb at his car, which exploded, causing serious wounds to his chest and abdomen. Stunned, Heydrich still managed to get out of the car and order his driver to shoot at the assassins, who managed to escape from the scene. Helped by bystanders and taken in a delivery van to a hospital, he underwent a series of surgeries that initially appeared to have been successful, with Himmler sending his own doctors to Prague, even visiting him on June 2nd, which was the occasion when they exchanged their last words. The next day, however, Heydrich fell into a coma and never recovered, passing away on June 4th from blood poisoning, caused by fragments of the car's upholstery, metal, and his own uniform, which had lodged in his spleen. Meanwhile, the Gestapo and the SS found the Czech agents hiding in the crypt of St. Cyril's Cathedral, killing them as well as other members of the resistance and anyone suspected of being involved in the action. On June 9th, the new Protector of Bohemia and Moravia, SS Obergruppenführer Kurt Daluck, he ordered harsh reprisals against the villages of Lidice and Ledzaki, based on inconclusive evidence that these places had harbored the Czech agents. All the men from the villages, from 14 to 84 years old, were summarily executed. The women were deported to concentration camps, and Lidice was completely demolished afterwards, with its name being erased from German maps from that date on. After an elaborate funeral in Prague on June 7th, Heydrich's coffin was placed on a train to Berlin, where a second funeral ceremony began at the new Reich Chancellery on June 9th. With Himmler being the main speaker, even Hitler was present, placing high decorations on his coffin, and the following week the Japanese Empire presented his family with the Order of the Rising Sun. After the funeral, Himmler temporarily assumed the duties of Chief of Reich Security, but in January 1943, he appointed SS Obergruppenführer Ernst Kaltenbrunner to the position. In this position, Kaltenbrunner continued the structure established by Heydrich, resulting in the deportation and death of countless people under German rule. A protagonist of a meteoric rise to the highest echelons of power in the Third Reich, Reinhard Heydrich spread terror among both Germans and foreigners. Representing the most fearsome authority over life and death, he became a figure in the popular imagination of Nazi Germany. The dark legacy of the Butcher of Prague endured for years after his death, resulting in monstrous tragedies that cruelly marked the face of Europe. Did you like the story? If you enjoy our work and want to support the channel, you can do so by sending us a Pix. Or you can support us on Apoyacy. That way, you'll join our very important person WhatsApp group and discuss upcoming topics with me. I'd like to thank everyone who's helping out, but especially these guys here who are top-notch. And if you're curious and want to buy the books I used to make this, I'm leaving their links right down here. For now, watch these videos that I picked out for you. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss notifications when I post more videos. I'll stop here and thank you again for watching. And a big hug to you from the War Room.